Good evening, folks. If you are watching after the fact, then please do feel free to skip ahead to qualifying as we just get the lobby set up and the stream all ready to go. We shouldn't be too much longer for your penultimate round in Canada. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2 for tonight's dose of racing action. I am SUMO, your commentator this evening, and I am joined, as always, once again by my amazing co-commentator, Ghost. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. It's getting really to the business end now of the championship, the penultimate round. It looks very cloudy out there, so I wonder if we'll see people getting laps in as soon as possible before rain incoming, but we'll have to find out.
Yes, that we shall. It's the penultimate round of the season, and we head to Circuit Jules Villeneuve for a race that could well set up the stage for the finale in a week's time. This circuit, located in Montreal, has 14 corners and is 4.361 kilometres long. Tight twisting sections, a narrow track, and an infamous wall of champions. This circuit will surely see some fantastic racing over the next hour and 40 minutes. Any thoughts on tonight's venue, Ghost, from the stewarding that we've done over the couple of tiers that we've already had here? Is there going to be some drama this evening?
Yeah, it's a very incident-prone track, hence why we don't have it very often. Because it just draws in incidents just from the nature of the track. Turn 3 and 4, it's so hard to go side by side. Turns 1 and 2, if you go wide at 1, you might rejoin dangerously at 2. Of course, the final chicane is riddled with incidents all the time from people trying to go side by side there. The hairpin, you have people dive bombing and making contact and hitting the wall on the exit, and also turns 9 and 10, I think they are. They're an absolute nightmare as well to go side by side. So it's just the nature of the track causes so many. So it's a difficult one to get to keep it clean on, and well, track limit. It's called the Track Limits Grand Prix for a reason, as Palang smacks into the wall on the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, my controller seems to be giving me some forced feedback at the moment. It's never done this during a commentary stream. That's incredibly weird. Oh no, it hasn't stopped. I'm apparently feeling everything the drivers might be feeling right now. Anyway, weird glitches in hardware aside, we'll take a glance then over the championship. It's the penultimate round, as I've already said, and well, Tier is leading the championship on 101 points, and he's just 4 points ahead of his rival Krauser. And then the up-and-comer Jonathan sits on 93 points, so that's just, what, 4 points behind Krauser in the Red Bull. Then there's Lawrence, the reserve driver, 93 points, could come in with some sort of outside chance of stealing it, if the reserve wants to be the guy to finish on top. Then there's going to be Muya Hitty with 72 points in P5. We've got JBS Steve on 63. Then there's Robsu, J-Man, Scott, Palang, E. Waiter, LB, Mannyman, Jacob Pasty, Sirocco, Womax, Frachma, RJ Blair, Lucas Sife, Socks, Tito Man Wasted, Rutty Boy, Owen. And I think that's it for the drivers. And then we'll take a quick glance over the Constructors' Championship, if I can get that one up. It's Red Bull leading the way, 160 points, only 5 points ahead of the Aston Martin outfit. Ferrari could come in if they get some decent rounds, as opposed to the top 2 teams. They're on 127 points, but they're leading the way for best of the rest in the meantime. Then there's the Williams Racing team. They're on 118 points, and we have AlphaTauri on 92. The McLaren F1 team on 55. Then we have Alfa Romeo on 50. The MoneyGram Haas Formula 1 team on 48. Then there's the Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team and AlphaTauri. I've already said them. Alpine on 31 points. So it's close in both championships, Ghost, and well, this could be quite a decisive evening of racing.
It definitely could. Canada as the penultimate race, there's definitely potential for heartbreak on many levels here. Of course, we already saw Crozer DNFing at Singapore after he had a massive lead in the championship before then, and that got cut straight down. And now we come into this 3, maybe 4 drivers in it in the battle. So we'll see who comes out on top. Muhiti takes provisional pole for now, with LB about 4 tenths behind. There was whispers in the paddock, as JB goes P1 now, whispers in the paddock that JB and Muhiti would be drivers to watch around here, as well as Jacob Pasty. Jonathan seems to rate him highly around this track. So Crozer goes into P3, our championship runner-up at the moment. We'll see what Tier does, as he's invalidated, so we're not going to see what he does quite yet.
No, a lot of drivers have invalidated. Both Ferraris have done so, as I've seen. So Jacob Pasty not setting out at his best at the moment. Here's Lawrence then coming around. Not an unfamiliar face to Tier 2. He's a reserve driver this year, of course. So any of the points that he does win don't actually count towards the championship. Although if he was racing, he would be in with a fighting chance of winning this season. But coming across the line, he goes on provisional pole. It's an 11.0, fastest time of the session so far.
Yeah, very nicely done there from Lawrence, but I think those times will come tumbling down. The time trial times that I was seeing in the paddock, which is now how I'm going to refer to the Discord from now on, was that the likes of Muhiti, JB were hitting 10 low 1 minute 10s, so we'll see how close they can get to that in the qualifying session. But of course, between time trial and qualifying, often a different beast, but especially around a very tricky circuit like this.
Yeah, lots of drivers finding it tricky out there. All of the drivers who are out for their sort of first laps from sort of Palang onwards have invalidated laps, so they're going to have to go again. They're not going to want to do this too many times, otherwise they're going to really squander their chances in qualifying. Robsu's coming around again. He's making his way through Sector 2. We'll try and get a better tour of the whole circuit at some point, as there's an Alpine coming out. That's Rutty Boy, I think. Oh no, he's starting a lap, but he's already invalidated it, so not the best start from Rutty Boy and the Alpine. Is Palang going to go for a lap? I think he is, so let's ride on board with the Mercedes driver. Didn't want to drive the Alpine, got himself in the Mercedes instead, or the Alpine I should say is a Hoover, but it's a quick braking zone down into there, down to third, and then quickly, well not quickly, but very long right-hander here, looking to be careful on the exit under traction. Then we're down to this first of many chicanes through here. I mean, I suppose the first 2 corners are also a chicane. There's too many to counter this circuit. Coming through, this is turn 7 and 8 coming through here, riding the curb as much as you can on the entrance and then not so much on the exit, but crossing the sector 1 line as just before entering that down towards this, the first of many DRS zones along this circuit, and then quickly breaking down under the bridge. And I'll hand over to Ghost for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, down towards the hairpin, 2 major braking zones to go. Brake just before the 100 board and hug the inside as much as you can. Palang misses the apex there. That'll cost him about a tenth. It really is that much around that corner. DRS open down towards the final chicane now. A long straight where we will see some overtaking attempts. Brake at about the 100 board and across the hairpin. You can take the first right-hander much more tightly than the second left, but down towards the line it's an 11.2. It's P2 for Palang. Very nice first effort from the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, not a bad lap from Palang there at all. I think he must have known we were watching him, as he didn't stray over that white line and get himself a track limits violation in that moment. And Muhiti coming down to start his second run of the evening. Who else is out on circuit? Jacob Pasty once again invalidating a lap. Not the best run round for the Ferrari. Rutty Boy, I think he invalidated his last attempt. not going so well. But drivers coming out for some outlaps, I think. Who's going to be the first to lead them round? I think it's going to be... It looks like it's going to be Jacob Pasty. So let's keep an eye on the Ferrari.
Yeah, Rutty Boy coming to the end of his lap, just behind as well, down towards the final chicane. He was very tentative through turns, I think it was 8 and 9, was that those couple of corners, but he gets a massive slide on the exit of the final corner, loses a ton of time, but still goes ahead of Robsu, who's had a really bad opening lap there as the Finnish Aston Martin driver. Jacob Pasty, though, we were told to keep an eye on him, and here he is coming through Sector 1 as Tyr starts his lap as well, the championship leader.
Yeah, we're not really going to be able to figure out where he is in this first run until he crosses the line, because it's a little bit dodgy with the deltas and all of the sector timings as well. I wish it would be a little bit more accurate. And yeah, I think I've confirmed that I'm feeling all of the force feedback on whichever car I'm riding on board with. As in, there's definitely some lock-up or wheel spin there going on for Jacob Pasty in that car, because I could feel it. Anyway, coming down the straight, opening up the DRS, the second of 3 DRS zones around this, the third and final being on the start-finish straight. But if you want to count it as the first one, you probably could, but you don't activate it until the last portion of the lap. But anyway, crossing the line, Jacob Pasty, 11.4, not so fast, but he's got time for more laps out there. I think Lawrence is crossing the line to start a lap, and there's a Aston Martin, I think that's Tyr, has invalidated.
Yeah, he has indeed. He's done it again. Muhiti, meanwhile, has gone up to P2 in the Williams. And Jonathan's on a lap as well, a 42.5 through Sector 2, but that's 0.3 slower than what Jacob Pasty did through Sector 2. So not looking like a good lap here from Jonathan. He gets a bit of slipstream from the Williams, but that won't have done him much good. DRS open down towards the final chicane. What can he do? Can he find some time here? Remember, Jacob got a lot of wheel spin out of the hairpin, which would have cost him all the way down the straight, so this still could be better from Jonathan. It looks like it is. 11.1, gained a huge amount of time on Jacob in Sector 3, and that shows what Jonathan is capable of, up to P3 for the Ferrari.
Here comes Krause. He's on an improved lap as well. Not so much. He lost a lot of time in the third sector there, I think. He's going to have to go around again for another run. It's a fairly short lap around this circuit here, so it's... there's a chance of getting one extra run in, but you've really got to time it properly, and well, you don't really have the tyres for it unless you want to venture out on the mediums, which I don't recommend really. Here comes Tyr. I think he's finally going to be able to set a lap. Is he going to finish this one? He is. Car number 87, the Aston Martin, coming across, championship leader for the time being. What's he going to be able to do? Throwing down the gauntlet at 11.4. It's very close timings between everybody. Let's see what the gaps are to the fastest time. It's less than a second covering the top 10.
That's with no ERS all the way down the last 2 straights as well for Tyr. So he's got more in him, but it's difficult to extract it at this track, as Robsu now, his teammate, coming to the final chicane. Is he going to invalidate? No. Clean through there, down towards the line he goes. DRS open, doesn't hit the wall of champions. It's a 111.7. It's slightly better from Robsu, up to P9, but it looks like he doesn't have as much pace on this track as he does in other tracks. And I see that quite a lot on this track. The pace sort of... people who are similar on most other tracks to pace quite often are very far apart at this track for some reason.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. I mean, the circuit is quite a challenge. I think out of the technical circuits on the Formula 1 calendar, this is probably up there among them, as it's fast and there's so many twisty sections, and it really, really punishes mistakes as Jacob Pasty goes up into P2 with an 11.031.
Oh no, 0.2 down was Lawrence on his previous best. So yeah, Jacob onto the front row, but there's less than 1/10 between the top 3, less than 2/10 between the top 4, less than 3/10 between the top 6.
Yeah, I think it seems to be the running trend to go out a couple of times on this track. I'm not sure whether it's because the tyres are wearing or the game gives you a bit too much fuel during qualifying laps.
I think it's more that they're invalidating their first efforts and then having to go again.
Yeah, I'd agree, but I don't know, there are some tracks that give you a bit too much fuel, so you sort of do 2 warm-up laps and then do your qualifying laps. Just burn off that little bit extra, because I think tracks like this give you like 3 laps of fuel, which is way too much.
Yeah, the other thing also can be that it gives you your tires can't get warmed up fast enough over a single outlap. So sometimes that can be a reason why someone would go again. But Robsu's doing exactly that. He's gone for 1 lap, and then he's done a slow lap, and he's going for another lap now, and he's invalidated at turn 1. So he's going to be disappointed with that, and he's going to have to do the drive of shame all the way back to the pit lane from turn 1.
Yes, he is. Probably, I wouldn't say it's always a place to be caught out for track limits, but it's certainly not the one that's most common, I don't think, into turn 1. It's normally maybe like this corner. I don't know, those 2 corners you don't really get caught out. It's this next chicane you can get caught out at the Wall of Champions, of course, and there's the second chicane on the circuit as well, turns 3 and 4, so there's too many places. Hello Jack Howard in the chat, cheering on the Scottish people. There's those Scottish people represented in Tier 2, but he's cheering them on anyway.
Palan could get pole here. He makes it 4 drivers now within a 10th at the top. And wow, what an incredibly close quali session this is. And well, it's prime position for Jonathan now to put in a lap that's 7 tenths quicker than everyone else.
Yeah, JB's out on track as well, so we'll keep an eye on that Red Bull. Little Manny Man, sick as a dog, can't race. Get well soon, Little Manny Man. I expect to see you in the finale next week. And hello RJ in the chat as well. Howdy to the commentary team as we watch over this qualifying session. The sun's come out, Ghost. It's less grim and grey as JB loses the rear end.
Yeah, I saw that as well. So yeah, no rain. Muhiti reported in the paddock as well that it's 0% chance of rain throughout. So it should be dry in the race. But as we know, there is a glitch in the pit screen where it can show you the wrong weather. So we will see. But JB coming through sector 2, it looks like he's not using his ERS, so he's not improving on this attempt. What about Muhiti? He's coming to turn 1 to start his well, what's going to be final set of runs.
Yeah, coming through. Muhiti's been pretty good in qualifying over these last few races. Can he get a snatch pole position away like he did? Did he do it at the USA? I think he did. No, I wasn't at USA. It was the round before that, was it? Singapore.
Yes, Singapore. He snatched it.
Yes, snatched it. So he likes the street track, does Muhiti? It seems. Can he do it out there? Who's coming across the line now? I think Tier's starting a lap. He won't want to invalidate this one. He's got a lot riding on his shoulders this evening. I think Muhiti is going to be the first to set a lap in these final runs of the session. So let's find the Williams driver coming around the hairpin. Now down the back straight, along through this long DRS zone, the longest straight on the circuit, all the way down to this quick right-left flick. It's all about the exit on this corner and how much speed you can carry through. Let's see, car number 99, that looked pretty put together through the final couple of corners. What can Muhiti do? The Turkish driver comes up to the line now. It's a 1 minute 10.9. He's on pole for the time being. Has anybody got it in them to do it? Here comes Rutty Boy in the Alpine. He's going to be starting a lap, so we'll come back to him. Where are the Aston Martins? Robsu is starting a lap. There's Tier as well. Who's next coming across? It's JB.
Tier's down by a 10th in sector 2, so he's not going to improve on this one. JB on a lap, like you say, coming down towards the final chicane. Jonathan was not improving either. He's going to have to go again as well. So here comes the Red Bull driver down towards the final chicane. Can he do anything here? He's only 3.5 tenths off pole, but he's in P6. Down towards the line he comes. 1 at 9, 10. It could be close. 11.3. It's no improvement from the British driver. So who's next? It's Jonathan, but he's not on a competitive lap time. Tier coming onto the line. No, he's 3.8 off, so he's going to have to go again as well. What about Robsu? He's in sector 1 at the moment. Who's next?
Pasty, he's come Pasty, ran the final couple corners. I think Tier's going to have enough in him to go again, so we'll keep an eye on the British driver as he goes. Here comes Jacob Pasty. Yes, he goes on the pole. It's a 10.8. Who else can get themselves up in there? Lawrence doesn't improve, but I think he's got time to go round once again, so keep an eye on the previous Tier 2 challengee or tier 2 driver, at least. Palang starting a lap as well, so there's still plenty of action out on the track. Here we go, Rutty Boy invalidated. He might just have time to get one more in. Krauser's on an out lap, so keep an eye on the Red Bull driver. Where's Tier? No, Tier's not going. Robsu, here he comes.
Yeah, Robsu was about 1.5 tenths up in Sector 2. It's not going to be anywhere near enough for pole, but is it going to be enough to get him into the top 8 and get ahead of Crozer for now, which would be important for the constructors. 11.5, it is enough to be ahead of Crozer, so important for the constructors, but Crozer is just starting a lap now as we are at the end of the session, so everyone who's on their laps ends here. Down towards the line comes Tier. He improves, but only to P6 for the Aston Martin driver. Here he comes to the line, it's enough! It's enough for Jonathan. Is Jacob improving? No. Is Lawrence improving? Down towards the line, he's invalidated. What about Palang? Could he come in with a shock pole position here?
I don't know, it's close. Lawrence really threw it over the curbs. LB is up by 0.4 of a second as well. Can he get himself up there? No, only 8th place. So here comes Palang then in the Mercedes. He's 0.09 of a second down, but can he make that time back in the final sector? Oh, he crashes!
No, I think he was down on his time, so just crashed over the line. But Crozer down towards the line now, in towards Sector 3 he goes. Is he improving? We're about to find out. Through the final corner, he's invalidated in the final corner, so he will remain P10, and this is, well, exactly what Jonathan would have wanted. He's P1 and his championship rivals down in 6th and 10th, I think.
Oh dear, well, it's a Ferrari front row lockout. The 2 red cars in the lead for this qualifying session, and what a qualifying session it was. It's Jonathan the Irishman taking pole position here in Canada with his teammate Jacob Pasty lining up alongside him on the front row. Then we have Muhiti in the Williams, a decent run in qualifying for the Turkishman, or Belgian even, if you want to call it one or the other. Too many nationalities to go around for everybody. But Lawrence on the second row with him. Then we got Palang, Tier, JBS Steve, LB, Robsu and Krauser rounding off your top 10, with Rutty Boy coming along the back of the grid.
It's going to be a great race, this. Canada's always rife with, well, controversies and just generally incidents, so I hope this is a clean race, but it has every potential to be chaos, but we're about to find out. Penultimate round of the championship, it's all to play for.
Yes, it is, and there's no more perfect time than any to make sure you've left a like on the stream and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and even share out the videos as well. All the support does go a very long way as I continue my career in commentary, and Ghost and I continue to provide you with these awesome streams from the Tier 2, from Tier 2 and APPF1, which always provides some excellent racing. Any thoughts, Ghost? We've got 3 drivers lining up for what could be something that sets them up really well coming into Austria next week. It's an intense session. There's 3 teams also vying for the top as well. It's, you know, all of the familiar faces that we've had this season, they're all lining up. It's the penultimate round. What's your thoughts? Give us some insights.
Well, the championship challengers will be trying to hold in their nerves, because they know this is a very, very important race where it can easily go all wrong at the drop of a hat. So it's going to be controlling the nerves and keeping it on track.
Yeah, for sure. And we're lining up on the grid then for 5 red lights. There's 5 red lights for the Canadian Grand Prix. Round number 9 of APPF1 Tier 2. And we are underway. It looks like a great start from Muhiti in the Williams. He's trying to get a way through, but he's met with a wall of Ferrari as he goes around. Lawrence looks for a way around Muhiti in the Williams. There's a lot of tussling going on. The 2 Aston Martins getting involved in some drama. And there's Krauser trying to cut his way through the action as well. Some contact between LB. Oh,
JB!
Oh!
JB and LB have made contact. There's no love lost between the former teammates, and they are both down in 10th and 11th now. Disaster for Red Bull, as with still green flags, no VSC. So it's a Ferrari 1-2 still.
Yeah, I'm hearing from the paddock ghost that Jonathan isn't too sure on his race pace, so that could be something to look out for. Lawrence has had a great start, though. He's up 1 place, up 3 places. His rutty boy after that collision between LB and JB and Steve. It was fairly clean for the first couple of corners, and then you got to the exit of turn 2, and there was that incident.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened. I think it was just 3 wide and they really struggled to get all the way through, and JB and LB ended up colliding. But through they go as now Lawrence to the inside of Jacob Pasty to the final chicane. He's going to make the move. Yes, he is, up to P2. But Jonathan and Lawrence both on the mediums as well as Tia, whereas everyone else has started this race on the hards.
Yeah, and they're going to go long, those hard runners, while Lawrence is making the most of those softer rubber. Tia is going to have to try and do that as well. He needs to try and clear Muhiti as quickly as he can. He's leading this championship, remember, and him and Jonathan are on the same strategy as well as Lawrence. So there's a longer lean towards the hard tyres around here. What is the sensible option, Ghost? What do you think strategy-wise?
Well, if you're feeling brave, the best strategy is a soft medium actually around here. If your tyre wear is really good, but if your tyre wear is not so good, it's best to go start on the mediums, I think, and get the undercut, because the undercut is absolutely insane around here. As Tia goes around the outside of Muhiti, fantastic switchback move from the championship leader, and he's up to P4 on those mediums.
Well, he was really going in there. I think he had a little bit of a lock-up coming into that hairpin just to keep Muhiti behind, but he's got the job done. He's got Jacob Pasty now in his sights. This looks like a close battle for the start of this race. As we go on so far, Muhiti's just trying to have a little look, trying to make sure Tia remembers he's there. Robsu, meanwhile, is fighting along with Palang quite nicely as well. LB and JB, I think they've come in. Yeah, they have. They've chucked on a set of mediums. So they'll go probably medium for the rest of this race. That could come back to help them out depending on when a safety car comes out, but they're way down on everyone else so far.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do. They're definitely going to be hoping for a safety car because they can't take those mediums to the end.
Lawrence got a great run through that second chicane there. Goes, sorry to cut you off, and he got very close to the back of Jonathan, but he wasn't able to make a move into the next corner. But DRS is active now. He's going to get himself into the slipstream. There's Jonathan going defensive. Lawrence looks for a away pass, doesn't quite find it. Has to stick behind the Ferrari for now as they go through into Sector 3.
Lovely helicopter shot there as these top 4 look like they're breaking away from the rest. Tia nearly into the back of Jacob Pasty into the hairpin. That was very, very close. Tia's got to be careful. But remember, Sumo, this is the Track Limits Grand Prix, and I'm sure we're going to see plenty of track limits penalties. So what you see, the order right now, is going to be completely different by the end as Jonathan now being passed by Lawrence into the final chicane. They slowed each other down. Tia got blocked on the straight by Jacob Pasty. I don't know how he'll feel about that, as now Jacob looks to the inside of his teammate. He's not going to make the move though.
Lots of tussling going on here, already proving this race to be a good one and one to remember at that. And I think getting those track limits penalties is going to come thick and fast, especially when you are making overtakes into that final chicane there, as I think Lawrence may have got himself one when he overtook Jacob Pasty in the early laps of this race. It looked like he took a little bit too much curb, but you can take a lot, you can get away with it. And there's the first one of the night, although I think LB might have got that actually, unless he's got...
No, he got that for pit lane speeding. Yeah, so Robsu with the first track limits penalty. It's only lap 4, and we're going to see plenty more of that. Would not be surprised to see the entire grid get a penalty. Tia, the championship leaders round at turn 9. Oh no, and he's all the way down to P9. And well, it's Canada. We knew that something like this could happen, but to see it happen to Tia there when he's just absolutely flying there through the pack is so gutting.
Yeah, I think he might have taken a bit too much out of his tyres, but we'll get back to that in a moment. As Jonathan's going to go round the outside of Lawrence. Lawrence, I think, backed out of that one a little bit, and he's going to focus on the run down towards turn 1 now. He's going to tuck in behind the Ferrari. The Ferrari defends the inside line. They're switching places in the matter of corners here. Lawrence goes the long way around, then it becomes the inside. Goes a little bit off the track, dips a will on the grass now. Jacob Pasty comes around the outside. Oh, and he loses it. Muhiti's lost it in the background as well. There's a little bit of light contact, but everybody's struggling with traction around this Canadian track.
Oh, this Grand Prix is going to be absolute chaos. Who I can already see. There's going to be so many people losing it. Jonathan now leads by just over a second. It's just come down to 9/10 again, but Lawrence very, very struggling there through turn 1 to get it stopped, and then dipped the wheel in the grass, so he lost the traction out of turn 2, and well, it was nearly all ending in tears for him and Jacob. But well, Crozer 3 seconds down on the top 6, Tier 1.6 down on Crozer, and Jonathan leads the race. As it stands, Jonathan would take the lead of the championship. I don't know if you caught last week's race, Sumo, but Jonathan is probably the luckiest man in the history of APPF1. That is a win he had absolutely no right to get whatsoever.
I didn't catch it. I may have heard mutterings in the paddock as Lawrence gets a little bit shaky on the exit of the final corner.
So does Rutty Boy.
But my question is he luckier than Darth?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was luckier than Darth, believe it or not. So yeah, I'll tell you more when the racing's a bit less close.
Wow, but we've got some great racing going on. Muhiti now in the pits early, perhaps some damage after his spin. Not the race at start he would have liked. Tier and Kraus are two championship rivals. They're lamenting down in P7 and 8. They'll be hoping for a safety car to bunch things up. They'll be hoping that Lawrence continues to bring the fight to Jonathan, who looks to be trying to break out of the DRS of the Alfa Romeo, but it's not quite working out so far. LB ahead of Muhiti as he's in the pit lane still, but the action's all going on at the front. It's 5 cars fighting for the lead.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Rutty Boy's there as well, just about, even after his loss of traction out of the final chicane. Did Lawrence get DRS there? Yes, he did, just about, but Jonathan pulling away. He says his race pace is terrible in the chat. Well, I beg to differ. He is currently pulling away from Lawrence and his teammate.
Yeah, but we know Lawrence, he's, well, he does not have the line on, but he's still a driver of Tier 1 ability, so he definitely can get himself in the lead. He knows how to fight Tier, getting time penalties, his favourite thing to do in a Grand Prix. But still watching this fight, I think that the chances of the safety car and the circuit ghost are going to be quite high. It's Canada. We know there's safety cars that like to, the safety car does have to come out. I don't think Burt Mylander would miss the chance to do a lap around here.
I think someone's bound to bin it into the wall at some point, surely, especially at things like the exit of turn 7, as here comes Jonathan with the DRS on, Lawrence with the DRS on Jonathan, but doesn't make a move into turn 8, and there's the track limits penalty. As a result, he went deep and got on the curb, and that was it, as he has a bit of a snap there on the run down to the hairpin somehow, as Jonathan a bit deep in that corner.
I feel like, Ghost, we need our own version of Karun Chandok, you know. We need to get like Lifebout or Rick in to just sit there and look at the what do you call it, the race director, and be like, oh yeah, this guy's got this penalty and this guy's got this, or, you know, coming in with like the sky control box, you know.
I mean, I can do that if you want to. At any time. Muhiti getting past JB, meanwhile, down in the end of Sector 2. So he's up to P10. Those two in their own battle, but I think JB might be lacking a bit of race pace, as he has been the last few weeks, actually. He started this season so well, did the British driver, but towards the second half of the season, he's just been off the pace every week.
Yeah, I think Jonathan got a bit out of shape. This could invite Lawrence to make a move. He's all over the back of that Ferrari. I think he may be forced to make an overtake at some point. Doesn't on this occasion. But Lawrence still staying very, very close. Also, the driver struggling with traction coming out of a lot of the corners. It's a common theme around this circuit. But Jonathan not breaking away as he would have wanted to. And missing the apex is Jacob Pasty going very deep into that corner. I think looking at this Ghost over the last couple of laps, I think Lawrence does have a better handle on this track than those around him.
Yeah, quite possibly. Here he comes with the DRS to prove it, down the inside towards the final corner, and that move is done. He's going to have the DRS down towards turn 1 as well, but Jonathan gets a much better exit out of the chicane, but I think that DRS is going to be too much for him to deal with, and Lawrence stays ahead up to P1 for the Alfa Romeo driver, but he goes a bit deep at turn 1, but gets away with it just about as he has a slide through turn 2.
Go on then, Ghost. Is this one of your controversial double DRS zones?
I don't mind this one so much because it's so. If you get the overtake done into the chicane, I think you deserve the overtake. And it's also incredibly difficult to put a detection point there because if you're side by side down towards the chicane, and someone's marginally ahead, but you have so much overspeed often through there that you could end up with not having the DRS down towards turn one. It's not very fair. Jonathan nearly into the wall, almost did the same thing as Tier.
Oh my word, I think we're going to be watching that a lot more. And Jonathan goes
wide.
deep. He's losing a place out to his teammate, but they're going to go side by side. Are they going to fight this one all the way down the straight? They're both going to have DRS as they go along. I think Jonathan just backs out of that, I think sensibly in that occasion. Palang's lurking in the background as well. He sees the two Ferraris. He sees Jonathan struggling a bit. Lawrence has got control of this race now. He's leading as we go. This fight not letting up. I think Robsu's dropped back from them. Meanwhile, Tier and Krauser are having a bit of a fight. They're still fighting for championship points, so they may not be at the head of the train, but they're certainly fighting themselves, well, fighting amongst themselves for better positions and better points in this Drivers' Championship.
Absolutely. There's the next one. It's Jacob Pasty, the next one to get a track limits penalty. He's up to 3 seconds. Yeah, Tier getting past his main rival. Although Jonathan's still in P3, but he looks like he's really struggling on those mediums, Sumo. I've been riding on board with him for a bit, and he's squirrely out of almost every single corner. And if he's looking to do a one-stop, he's going to have to do another 6 laps or so. So he could be in trouble here as Rutty Boy and Robsu go side by side through turns 7 and 8. Robsu's going to have the run down towards the hairpin. Rutty Boy defends to the outside. Robsu down the inside. He goes, and is that move going to be made? Rutty Boy's going to get the better exit. Can he get the power down? Yes, he can. They're still side by side as they go through. What a battle this is.
Yeah, what a little switch back from the Alpine. They're going to run side by side all the way down. The DRS goes to the Finnish driver, and he gets ahead of the Alpine on this occasion. No ERS left really in the tank for Rutty Boy as he gets another 3-second time penalty to add on in here. I think the Irishman, I think Jonathan has been a bit too hard on his tyres in these opening laps and is really feeling that.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'm just going to keep penalties up on my screen, Sumo, so I'll let you know what it's all at. At the moment, everyone, yeah, he got past Lawrence into the final chicane while we were watching Robsu and Rutty Boy. It wasn't an interesting pass, it was just DRS before the braking zone, but Jacob back into the lead. But yeah, everyone except LB on 3 seconds and LB on 5.
Yeah, and I think we'll be hard pressed for a driver to not get time penalties around here. I think I've only done it once in my racing career around this track, which I was very proud of, although I don't think I made up too much as it was a bad race if I remember rightly, but we move on from that. Certainly not a bad race is this one. It's heating up a little bit, and I think Jacob Pasty now, he's in the best place. LB's out! LB's out! Safety car!
And it's a safety car. It is a safety car. That brings Tier back into it, and it's perfect timing for the medium runners. They can come in for hards. Jonathan's going to have to double stack here with his teammates, so he's going to lose out to Palang. Could even lose out to Robsu as well, but as Robsu comes in too. So all those hard runners, are they going to go on mediums to the end as well? Looks like everyone's in. Lawrence onto the hards as expected. Jacob Pasty.
Krauser, he makes contact with Tier. He uses him as a brake coming into the pits, and he gets a penalty as well.
Is that going to be served in the pit lane? No, it's not. So Tier getting away with that one. Hopefully there's no damage to his rear wing. But Jonathan, yeah, he has lost out to Robsu. He's down to P5 in his Ferrari as a result of that double stack.
Yeah, it wasn't. Tier and Krauser were too far back to really make any sort of anything of that, but Jonathan now in amongst the pack, and well, I think for the hard runners like Jacob Pasty, this couldn't have come at a worse time because they were just starting to eke out the control over the medium runners in that opening stint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pasty's got wing damage.
Does he? Does he?
He does. Yeah, he's just said in the chat he's got wing damage.
How? How's he got wing damage?
I think maybe it might have been from that contact that he made with, I want to say it was with LB or somebody during those opening laps, or maybe with Muhiti.
Oh, yeah, possibly.
There's a little bit of a tussle. Right. Been racing with it since lap 3. Yeah, Muhiti. Yeah, I was right.
Right, yeah, makes sense. Well, he's
Lawrence, he means Lawrence. Or somebody.
Well, he's going to have to nurse that now, but I mean, it seems like it hasn't affected him too much because he's winning the race at the moment, and he's been well on pace with the others. But yeah, he's going to have to be wary of that, especially on these new tyres now, and he's not going to get a chance to try them out before we go racing straight away again because of the safety car. But everyone has come in for a stop, including Muhiti. It says he's done 5 laps on those hards because he had them at the start. But yeah, this gives Muhiti and JB a chance to get back into this race. Kroza's pitted again to serve his 5-second penalty. That's very sensible. And he's put on another set of the medium tyres and replaced his wings, so he got damage as well from that contact with Tyr. And out he comes off the pit lane, but he's going to be behind Muhiti, I think. So it's going to be Red Bull in last and second last are the Constructors' Championship leaders.
Yeah, it's going to come out behind his teammate, I think, as well. Let's see. I mean, the pit exit does cut 2 of the corners, so it is quite a good pit exit for that. But yeah, look, behind JB. So Krauser back down at the back to where he started.
Yeah, very, very tricky there for the Red Bulls. They're going to have to find a way back into this race, but the safety car will give them the perfect opportunity to do so, and neither of them have a penalty yet. I will check their warnings just a second. I think Jonathan still has 1. He still has 1 warning. Kroza has 2 warnings. And JB has 2 warnings, I think. What about Tyr? He's got still 3 warnings, so he hasn't gotten any since he got his penalty.
In this lap, Ghost, it's going to come in. We're going to go back under green flag conditions. Burnt Mylander's shot off down the road. It's the red Mercedes giving control of the pack to the Ferrari, leading them all down, weaving, warming up those tyres. He can go from now to whenever. I think he'll go just about there. He's gone, just there.
Yeah.
There he goes, right into there.
Good timing from Jacob Pasty, and he will keep that lead down towards turn 1. No sorts of shenanigans from Lawrence as they head all the way down to the corner. Any drama further back? No, everyone through one by one, single file through the first couple of corners. Much more clean than lap 1.
Yeah, quite a... what's the word? Quite a... I don't want to say diplomat. Quite a civil start from everybody there, yes. I think. But Robsu getting racy with Palang. He had a little look to the inside of turn number 6 and 7, I think.
Oh, what an exit.
Yeah, what an exit from the Finnish driver. And Palang runs him as tight as he possibly can, leaving just enough room. That might be questioned in the steward's room, but he got the move done anyway and is ahead of the Mercedes.
That's very nicely done from Robsu.
Rutty boy jumped Jonathan as well, Ghost.
Oh, he has, yeah. He's up to P5, is the Alpine driver. Jonathan down to 6th. And, well, Palang is in this conversation for the race win here. It's still Sumo. He's the only one in the top 5 without a penalty. And here he goes back again on Robsu, round the outside. They're going to be side by side into the final chicane. How's this going to end? Robsu's got the inside. He backs out. He's not looking to go side by side with Palang through the final chicane. Instead, he's going to go do it down towards turn 1. He's got the inside line, but Palang's going to have the inside for turn 2 if they remain side by side. Palang breaks late. He does have the inside for turn 2. That's very nicely done from the Canadian driver, and he stays ahead of Robsu, and this is allowing Jacob and Lawrence to streak away.
Yeah, I think that was some great defensive driving there from Palang. Some moments of quality there from the Mercedes. Just positioned the car perfectly, was brave going on the brakes into turn 1, left Robsu just enough room that he would get a bad exit and continue that fight, but Robsu's going to come back at him again perhaps. No, he got a bit out of shape. Rutty Boy's going to get involved in this now. They're all very close together. Let's just hope it doesn't end in any carnage. Jonathan's being held up by this, and his direct competitor at the moment, Tyr, is just behind him, and Krauser, all the top 3 of the championship within touching distance of each other.
Yeah, 6, 7 and 8 are the championship top 3. Meanwhile, Lawrence in P2. But he has said to me he doesn't want to win this title as a reserve. So if he is winning in the final race, I think he'll step back. But Rutty Boy decides against going onto a move on Robsu into the final chicane. That brings Jonathan a bit closer, but Tier's still there on those hard tyres as they all file through. DRS now enabled.
Jacob Pastry and Lawrence have checked out on this one. They're leaving the rest to fight behind them. They're all squabbling from P3 all the way down to position number 8. Muhiti could get involved as well, but he's fending off JBS Steve. Another time penalty for Robsu there as well. Palang doing well to keep these drivers behind. Robsu putting the pressure on though. Rutty Boy is keeping Jonathan at bay as well, and I think it's all staying a little bit civil between the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship, but it might all kick off and something's happened. Muhiti's out! Safety car!
And that is another safety car. An opportunity for those medium runners to get onto the hards now, but that will promote Lawrence, Jonathan and Tier all the way up to the front, unless they all decide to go on mediums instead. It would be quite the call, because it is still quite a long way to take those mediums. You can do it because the soft medium strategy requires you to do it this many laps on the mediums, but yeah, we'll see if anyone is brave enough to take the plunge. We've got Rutty Boy here just behind Robsu, who's coming in. Jacob Pasty into the pits. Lawrence stays out. Palang in. Robsu stays out. Rutty Boy stays out. Jacob Pasty and Jonathan both stay out. What about Tier? He's in. Tier into the pits, as are the 2 Red Bulls.
Yeah, I think doing either could work in this one. I think I'd guarantee that there'd be at least one more safety car in this race.
Oh, Tier's repairing his wing.
Ring damage on Tier, onto a new set of mediums for him. So I think he might have to go for that onto the softs later on. Everyone else on the mediums too. Yeah, I don't know. What are the hard runners? They might try and go to the end, but I don't know. It's quite the call. I think it's a hard one, because now that we've got 9 drivers, but surely there's going to be at least one more safety car in this race, and that might throw some more drama into the works. But we're reshuffling the pack once again.
Yeah, we certainly are. And yeah, you're right. It's a tough decision here. I mean, if you take any tyre, like those on the hards, that's difficult to take those to the end. It's not difficult, as Lawrence nearly puts Robsu into the grass there for some reason. But yeah, it's difficult to take the hards all the way, and especially since you'll have less pace to start with. Those mediums on Robsu and Rutty Boy, that's more of a challenge to get those all the way to the end. And those who've pitted onto the mediums, they'll be really good for a few laps, but we saw earlier on how Jonathan was really struggling on those mediums just 8 or 9 laps into the stint. So we'll see how far they can go, but Tier and Crows are the main ones to watch. Tier with a 3-second time penalty still, but I'm sure there's going to be more drama. We're only halfway through this race.
Yeah, we are, and well, everybody's all shuffled back again. It's just like Tier and Krauser are being quite inseparable in this race. I think we'll have the safety car come in this lap, as everyone's bunched up once again. But time penalties have gone away for some important names. At least Krauser's got rid of his penalty now, and well, that's about it really. I think somebody else with a penalty perhaps. If it was LB, but he's actually crashed, so it doesn't matter. I was thinking of all the 5-second penalties, but everyone else are track limits infringements, and I'd imagine there'll be some more. Only 4 of the 9 remaining drivers without a penalty.
And Jonathan still only has 1 warning, Sumo, so he's doing a good job as the Irishman in the Ferrari to be in the conversation for this race win, but we saw him get so squirrely earlier on, and those hards are going to be difficult to drive by the end, so we'll see how far he can go, and whether any more calamities await those championship contenders. But the safety car is going to be in this lap as Lawrence sets the pace.
Well, the second restart is moments away. Lawrence leading them all around. He is now your pace car as the safety car peels away. One of 3 different race leaders we've had in just 18 laps of racing will be underway very soon. Lawrence is really let the safety car go. Is he going to go earlier than than Pasty did, or is he going to go around the same time? Hello, Scott in the chat. Has Tier changed his wing already? He has. Already changed his wing, and he's got a penalty as well. Lawrence leaving it very late. I think Robsu thought he went, but now he's gone. Has Lawrence, and we're back under green flag racing, and Robsu's looking to get racy already. The two Ferraris going side by side. This won't want to end badly, I don't think. And I think Jonathan just backs out a little bit, and Palang getting involved. I think there's some contact going on. Krause is going to try and get ahead of the Mercedes, but side-by-side contact again, and T's going to find a way through as well. That was very, very close.
I think Crozer rear-ended Palang into turn 2. So Palang just keeping his position down towards the corner, but getting feisty between those drivers now all the way through the pack. Lawrence still leads from Robsu, from Rutty Boy and Jacob. Jonathan down to P5 as a result of that, but Crozer and Tier is going to try and fight their way through now. JB, I think, might fall off the pack fairly quickly, as here comes Tier on his championship rival. He's going to make the move again on Crozer down the inside into the hairpin. Crozer breaks very late. Tier nearly into the back of Palang, but he's made the move. Great move from the championship leader up to P7.
Yeah, great fighting between these two. We've had so many great championship fights in Tier 2 history. Here comes Palang. He's going to look to challenge Jonathan. Down the inside goes the Mercedes on the Ferrari. Oh my word, that was so incredibly close. He put him in the wall.
He did. Robsu into the lead in the meantime. Must have been a mistake from Lawrence. Jonathan down to P7. Tier now trying to make the move on Palang. Down the inside. There's contact into turn 1. Somehow there's no visible damage on Tier's car. There might be superficial damage, though. Jonathan down to P7 now fighting with Crozer all the way at the back there. How has this happened to the Ferrari driver? Tier now with 6 seconds of penalties to his name. And he's going to really struggle now to get a good position and extend his championship lead today going into the final race next week.
I hope more penalties are to come for the other drivers, but I was singing Palang's praises earlier, and all of that's just gone straight out of the window in a matter of moments as he's been making contact with our championship leaders. If you're going to take anybody out, Jonathan, do not let it be these three. Not Jonathan, Palang.
Yeah, well... Palang's still in P5 at the moment, as here comes Jacob Pasty on Rutty Boy for P3. Now he goes side by side down towards the final chicane. I think Rutty Boy's going to just let that go. He is. Them two swapping positions. Tier still in P6. Jonathan struggling to stay with those top 6 now on those old hard tyres, and gets a bit of a snap on the entry to the final chicane. And as a result, that gives Crozer an opportunity to go round the outside of the Ferrari into turn 1. He's going to have the inside for turn 2. Jonathan gives it up, and Jonathan has gone from P2 just not that long ago all the way to P8 in just a couple of laps.
Yeah, not what he would have wanted to see. Both his championship rivals getting ahead. Tier's looking racy once again with Palang. They're all staying very close together. In amidst all the chaos, Robsu's managed to take the lead of this race from Lawrence. So it's an Aston Martin leading the way now, our 4th different leader of this race. And it's been absolutely crazy so far around Canada. What more is in store in this second half of the race? We're yet to find out, but it looks like Tier might be looking to set up a move. Palang looks to the inside of Rutty Boy. Tier braking as late as he dares, getting as close to the back of that Mercedes as he possibly wants to. Lawrence, meanwhile, looks like he's trying to fend off Jacob Pasty and those faster medium tyres. This could be an overtake here. Palang and Rutty Boy going side by side. It's Rutty Boy to the inside and Palang on the outside. Is there contact? No, but the Mercedes just covers round. I think there's a little bit of contact going on. What's happening, Ghost?
There was contact. Rutty Boy just took too much speed into the final chicane. Here comes Tier down the inside. Nearly hits the side of him. And Crozer goes around the outside as a result of his championship rival. Tier has to concede, and Crozer back up to P6 now. Jonathan now trying to get with Tier as well for P7. Tier gets another time penalty up to 9 seconds now in 22 laps. He's going to try and go down the inside of his rival, but Crozer maintains the line, and Tier has to concede, and this is not looking like a good race now for Tier as he nearly spins into the wall on the exit of 8.
That was some fantastic opportunistic racing from Krauser. He just saw what Tier was doing, saw that he was about to get his nose chopped off going into the inside, and he had to slow down a lot more, and he just snuck around the outside, said thank you very much, I'll take P6 from your hands. And well, with no penalties to the name of that Red Bull, Tier on a very big disadvantage with his 9 seconds of penalties. Scott Marshall in the chat, did you hear that? 9 seconds for Tier.
Here he goes. Tier using the ERS, but he didn't quite have enough to catch up to Crozer. Crozer right behind Rutty Boy, nearly hits him into the chicane. Jacob Pasty with a penalty. Tier nearly into the wall on the exit of the final chicane. Just about holds onto it, but he lets Jonathan through as a result. I think there's definitely damage to that Ferrari of Jonathan as Crozer hits the back of Rutty Boy into turn 2.
Oh my God.
The Alpine is round, and Crozer now is going to get overtaken by both his championship rivals. They're practically inside of each other, all 3 of them, and Crozer breaks late into turn 3, makes the move, but I think he might be in trouble for that rear ending of Rutty Boy into turn 2.
Yeah, Crozer's actually got a time penalty now. Did the game penalise him just there? Let's see. No, he's got track limits, but he was using that ghosting to full effect there as he managed to get back ahead of these two. Might not have done that if the ghosting was not in effect, but there you go. Meanwhile, Jacob Pasty, Lawrence Palang, and who's that? Robsu, all fighting over the lead as well. This fighting and squabbling between drivers is seemingly endless as we keep going, keeping an eye on the front action and the action. Here we go. Here's Lawrence looking for a way through on Robsu. Doesn't quite find it. He's got Jacob Pasty to think about as well. Meanwhile, Jonathan now past Crozer.
Yeah, down the inside, he went into the chicane, braked very late, somehow got the car stopped. He's up to P5. Lawrence and Robsu side by side at the front. Lawrence back up to the lead. He's got 6 seconds of penalties. Robsu has 9. Jacob also has 6. So at the moment, Palang is in the net lead of this race. Jonathan's down in P5, but ahead of Crozer and Tier, and that's where he needs to be.
Yeah, he does, and they've both got penalties now as well. His 2 rivals, so Jonathan might still come out top dogs on these 3, but they're all in the race. They're all going to be scoring some sort of points, although Tier might be losing out quite a lot with his heap of time penalties that he has. Scott Marshall in the chat says 9 seconds with the facepalm emoji. Jacob Pasty getting very close to the back of Robsu in the meantime.
Well, at the moment, the 3 championship rivals, as long as none of the 3 of them are on the podium, they're actually not going to differ too much in points. It's only 1 point per position once you get off the podium. So these 3 not actually that far apart, but Jonathan, of course, is going to get onto the podium after the penalties up front.
Lawrence goes, he backs out just a bit, but Lawrence gets a compromised exit. 3 wide, and Jacob Pasty sneaks in between the 2 of them. Robsu goes up into P2. Lawrence gets in there as well. Palang still at the back, just lurking as this battle goes on, hoping to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, he certainly is. He still has no penalties, but meanwhile, Jonathan got double overtaken into the chicane by both his championship rivals. So Crozer now up to P5. Tier's got no ERS left. Crozer's not got much sent, so he's got plenty to fight with still. And all this is allowing JB to catch up, as well as Rutty Boy, who's trying to get back into this after being spun by Crozer earlier on. And yeah, Crozer might well be in trouble for that.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12... Yeah, about 11 or 12 laps to go, I suppose. I think 11, if I'm counting my laps right.
10 and a half.
10 and a half, something along those lines. But are we thinking of pit stop times now, goes for these medium runners? What are they going to do?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? Because, well, who is on the mediums? It's Robsu, still on those old mediums,
Palang.
but
very close.
Of course, Jacob, Palang, Crozer and Tier, calling him Crozer and Tier. Tier makes the move but goes across the chicane and has to concede it, and also concedes to Jonathan accidentally, as now Jonathan down the inside of Crozer up towards P5. He's going to be the inside for Crozer for turn 2, but he's not going to be able to make the move. Jonathan stays ahead. These 3 still battling in these lower down positions, but of course those top runners, of course Robsu still has to take those mediums to the end. Tier now has 12 seconds of penalties, and he is going to be well down on the others, and he's definitely not going to extend his championship lead today.
Looks like Jacob Pasty's checked out for a little bit. Scott Marshall saying in the chat, could Steve possibly finish on the podium by finishing 8th?
He might well do. He's still got no penalties on that Red Bull, as now Lawrence to the inside of Robsu for P2 into the final hairpin, but that's a fantastic switchback from Robsu. That's a classic Checo Perez, he's not too clever, this guy, moment, as Lawrence now conceding the position to Palang as well, the Canadian driver looking to get ahead, but backs out sensibly. He's got no ERS, and Lawrence ran the outside of Robsu into the final chicane, gets the car stopped and gets the move done. As Palang now with a penalty. Palang finally gets a penalty and hits the wall. Does he have damage on that Mercedes? Nothing visible, but surely there will be superficial damage.
Yeah, that looked like quite the hit into the wall of champions. It's hungry for a driver to claim this race, it seems, and Palang could have been the one to claim it, but it's now only 2 drivers without penalties. It's Jonathan and JBS Steve, the three championship rivals, all fighting each other still in the mid-pack, with Crozer the advantage over them in terms of positions, but he does have that penalty to still contend with. Let's keep it up. Let's have a just quick look for everybody on the stream. I'm sifting through the wrong settings. It's 6 for the top 2. Then there's Robsu with 9, Palang with 3, Krauser with 3, Jonathan with nothing, 12 for Tier, 9 for Rutty Boy, nothing for JBS Steve.
Jonathan still only has 1 warning, so he doesn't look likely to get a penalty at any point. He's just trying to keep it clean here in that Ferrari, and well, if he does, he's going to end up on the podium here and going to gain quite a few points on his rivals. Robsu just behind Lawrence, as well as Palang. They're all going into the chicane. Palang breaks early to avoid contacts. Sensible from him, as Jonathan gets past Crozer once again for P5. These 3 still battling, but the important thing for Crozer and Tier is at the moment Jonathan was unlikely to win the race as long as Jacob keeps checking out, as now Lawrence gets another time penalty in 2nd place.
Yeah, he does. So many time penalties for so many drivers. Jonathan still hasn't got any. I wonder what his race director's looking like at the moment. Lawrence saying in the chat he's just a spectator this evening. Lawson, I should say. That's LB. Saying he's just a spectator this season. Yeah, he wasn't here for most of the season, and the races he's... Oh, Krauser! Krauser just hit the wall!
Oh no! It's a disaster for Crozer. He's going to have to repair that wing, and suddenly Tier looking a lot better. It could be Tier and Crozer, the top 2 in the championship at the moment, look like they're going to finish last and second last.
Oh my word! Crozer, I just saw that in the background. He lost it and just went into the wall. How's he still in the race? That was such heavy contact.
I don't know, but he's going to have to pit and get that prepared and pray for another safety car before the end of this one, because at the moment he looks destined to finish last place, and Tier, with the amount of penalties he's got, looks destined to finish in P8, and well, Jonathan still with no penalties could still finish very high up on the podium. I mean, as it stands, if I just look at the penalties, as it stands, Jonathan is going to finish in P2, I think. No, P3. So he will be on the podium and gain quite a few points on his rivals, especially if it ends like this.
Yeah, he will. Jacob Pasty, meanwhile, is checked out of this race. Will he try go to the end? Who knows? But there could be some pit stops still yet to be had. But Krauser's come in now, finally changing that wing. What a poor showing from Krauser. I think he made a mistake all on his own on that occasion. So he's only got himself to blame there. And same with Tier, with the track limits penalties that he's got. You've got to stay within the white lines, and if you don't, you will be penalised, and we can see that right there and then. But it's going to be those who don't finish with these penalties that are going to reap the rewards. Well, even the big top drivers has got the penalties. You know, Lawrence with 9 seconds, and Pasty's even got 6. Rutty Boy's in the pits. Oh no, he's spun.
No, he's binned it, and he's got no front right end plate. He's going to have to come in for repairs as well. So respite for Crozer, that'll be an extra position for him, and he's on the soft tyres, so he should get the fastest lap as well. That's going to be the goal, just to salvage that extra point. But the further up he finishes here, the fewer points he loses to Jonathan. That's the key at the moment. And well, with Jonathan only 4 points behind him, Jonathan should overtake him in the championship standings as it stands.
Yeah, he should, and it's gonna be so close going into Austria. We're gonna have such an insane race. What a venue to have a final showdown for this championship. I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna be the closest championship we've ever had in Tier 2, but certainly the most competitive.
It might well be. I mean, we had, I think, Muhiti and Pommy Alex was the closest in terms of points at the end. They were 2 points apart at the end, but I mean, that was only because Pommy missed a few races and Muhiti missed the last race. Here comes Palang on Robsu around the outside. They're going to be side by side all the way down. Robsu's going to be on the inside, but Palang breaks very late and gets the move done. Fantastic move from the Canadian. He's up to P3. All this battling, though, is allowing Jonathan to close up.
Yeah, it is. They won't want to battle too much, although Jonathan's gap has opened up a bit, actually. It was 3 seconds last I looked. And now it's about 4.6, but he is going to close in with that fighting between the three of them. But we're suspecting he's got damage on that car. And, well, let's see, how many laps has he been on those hards? It's been a long time. Surely they're going to be feeling it now.
Yeah, well, not as much as Robsu's going to be feeling it. He's on 19-lap-old medium tyres. There's still a few more laps to go. JB finally gets a penalty to his name as well. So Jonathan, the only driver left. Rutty Boy out. He's retired in the pit lane. So that's not going to be a extremely late safety car. But they all file through now towards the hairpin. Keep calling it the final hairpin. Jacob Pasty leading by 4.3 seconds over these three behind him. He looks like he's checked out and is going to win this race, but still plenty of drama still to come, I'm sure, as now Palang down the inside of Lawrence to the final chicane. It looks like he's got that move done. He has indeed. Lawrence lets him go. Palang up to P2. I think that's why we might finish Lawrence into the wall, though, on the exit, the wall of champions. He's hit the wall of champions, and is there damage? No visible damage. Somehow it looked like a hard hit, but there will definitely be some sort of, we like to call it olive green damage on that Alfa Romeo.
That's the technical term for it in Formula 1 sim racing, is olive green damage. Robsu with another time penalty, 12 seconds, not looking good for him. Scott saying in the chat, Tim might hold 6th here. He could, but I think JB might still steal it from him. I think he's just got too many time penalties, as Crozer does set the fastest lap. And the question is now can Palang close up 1.3 seconds?
Yeah, that's a great question. He might be able to, actually, as well, as it stands, Jonathan's still going to finish in P3 thanks to Robsu and Lawrence's penalties. Robsu on 12, Lawrence on 9, as Robsu gets a poor exit out the hairpin. Could be a much opportunity for Lawrence here, but Robsu will have the DRS from Palang. I think, no, he won't. He's too far behind, so here comes Lawrence. Should be moved on well before the braking zone, and it is indeed. Lawrence back up to P3 on track, as Jonathan still DRS range for Tier, but with those 12 seconds of penalties, it won't matter. 3 laps to go in this race. The two Red Bulls, 7 and 8. And, well, this is looking very spicy for a finale next week.
Yeah, it really is. I think what needs to happen for Jonathan to not finish on the podium now is for Tier to start fighting him. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because if Jonathan loses another 3 seconds, he will be behind Lawrence. So Tier would have to put a lot of pressure on him for him to lose 3 seconds in the last 2.5 laps. But, it's not impossible, and if Tier sends one into the chicane, that will cost both drivers a huge amount of time. So we'll see if Tier's feeling a dirty enough driver. Can he release his inner Schumacher here to cost Jonathan some points?
I don't know, we'll wait and see. He's on 16 lap old mediums as opposed to Jonathan's 21 lap old hards, and I don't know, it looks like Tier might just have a little bit more in him. I think Jonathan's struggling a little bit, and I think he is feeling that pressure. He's feeling like using some ERS here, so this could be a good little scrap between them. Meanwhile, this fight for the positions on the podiums rages on still, as Palang with some questionable defending, as Lawrence slips up the inside for P2 once again.
Yeah, easy move for Lawrence. Little bit of a twitch from Palang on the straight, but Lawrence unfazed, and he retakes P2, but those 9 seconds of penalties are going to cost him. Jacob now 5.3 ahead. He looks like he's going to win this Grand Prix. I hope I haven't just cursed him. It would be his first ever win in APPF1, so fingers crossed he can secure it, but Jonathan still under pressure from Tier. He's got 40% to Tier's 38. About equal ERS between the two. So if Tier can put some pressure on and lose Jonathan some time, he could get the Ferrari driver off the podium, and that would be crucial for the championship.
Yeah, it would. It's not looking likely thus far, though. It's Tier hasn't really put much on, but I think he's thinking about the drivers behind him and not those in front. I think he's trying to cover off JBS Steve and try and break out, as Scott Marshall saying in the chat. He should stay in Jonathan's DRS and pull away from JB.
Close.
He's
close to the back of the Ferrari, not close enough, but can he go for it on the final lap, as Jacob has just taken us on to lap 35 of 35 in this race. Much better exit for Tier. DRS enabled, but he's not using the ERS. He's not going to make a move into turn one unless he has to. No, he's got 12 seconds of penalty, so he doesn't want to, but I don't think he's seen the bigger picture here. He doesn't know how many penalties Lawrence has at the front, so he'll have no way of knowing that holding up Jonathan is big for his championship contention.
Yeah, it is, and I'm interested to know what the points are going to be coming in. Is Jonathan going to be in the lead of this championship?
I'll let you know at the end. I can't work it out right now.
We'll find
on
out
the final lap.
The one question we got, Jacob Pacey's got a few more corners to navigate. He's coming around the final hair. Now you've got me saying it. I mean, technically it is the final hairpin, but it's coming around the hairpin in Sector 3 as we speak. And here he is then. Jacob Pastey's got 2 more corners to navigate. He's fought hard and he's fought well for this one. He's going to come home across the line in just a few meters to win his first race here in APPF1 Tier 2. A big congratulations to him. Lawrence is going to be finishing P2, but we'll see how it plays out with penalties. There's Robson as well. Palang P2 for now. Let's see. There's Jonathan crossing the line.
P3.
He goes up to P3.
Yeah, that's where the prediction was. He's 2 seconds ahead of Lawrence. So Tier did manage to cost him some time, but it wasn't anywhere near enough.
Tier just loses out to JB.
Yeah, he does by a 10th and a half. Very, very close. Crozer's going to finish P8. I'm going to work out the championship standings in just a second. But, wow, what a chaotic Canadian Grand Prix. But we did expect that to happen.
Wow. Wow. What an afternoon of racing. Palang, you know what, for all of his moments where he might have cost some drivers some damage or some time, he definitely did fight hard for that one, and I think he's up there for a contention for driver of the day. I think there's a lot of drivers actually up there today.
Yeah, I'm just working out the championship standings, so bear with.
I think Jet Pasty could also be up there for driver of the day. I mean, he has won the race. He has fought well to do it as well. I think he kept it calm under the pressure of this circuit Jules Villeneuve. But Ghost, what's your calculations telling you?
So, Tier on 110 points, Crozer on 110 points, and
not again.
On countback I can't work it out because they both have 1 win, so I can't work out countback at the moment, but they're both on equal points. Jonathan on 107, 3 behind them, so 3 points between our top 3 drivers in the championship going into the final race of the season. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that. And well, Lawrence in P4, so he'll be too far behind, I think. Well, not too far, but a little bit further behind than the rest of them.
A quick rundown of the grid then. Jacob Pastry, your winner. Palang and Jonathan on the podium. Then there's Lawrence, Robsu, JBS Steve, Tier, Crozer, Rutty Boy, Muhiti and LB Racing. Those 3 not finishing the race. Got it done just before the countdown went. I think that's the quickest I've ever done the grid. Yes, wow, tied on points. 3 points behind is Jonathan. It's all to play for next week. We're waiting for our drivers to get into the chat for some interviews. But maybe this will all go down as the closest championship, Ghost.
Well, I mean, it's Austria. There's any kind of bedlam can happen in Austria. But
another track limits Grand Prix as well.
Yeah, and with our top 3 drivers within 3 points, I mean, who knows what could happen. But I'm just inviting the podium finishers to the lobby. It was Palang also on the podium as well.
It's Palang and both Ferraris. Wow, what a race. Be sure you have, of course, liked and subscribed as well. You do not want to miss the final round of this championship. It's going to be quite the spectacle, I will say, as we've got 3 drivers vying for the championship. I'm not sure what the constructors looks like at the moment, but that one will be good as well. Still waiting for our drivers to get in for some interviews. But wow, what an evening of racing. Canada has delivered, Tier 2 has delivered, and well, we'll see if there's any stewarding reports to come in. That could change the result as it stands right now. So Jack Alacco, to quote my favourite, one of my favourite films ever, hold on to your butt, my friend, because if Tier 1 reports are anything to go by, then there will definitely be some to be pondered over. Is Palang going to join us? Are we going to get a Palang?
Unlikely. He didn't join us after Silverstone, so I think we have the 2 Ferraris to talk to.
All right then. Well, I have the pleasure of speaking to Jacob Pasty. You are a first-time APPF1 Tier 2 winner. That must be a great feeling.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it feels great, you know. Raced the last few weeks, I haven't had much success. I've been inconsistent, crashing, but yeah, today feels really good, really satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, we were hearing, you know, whispers in the paddock that you had pace around this Canadian Grand Prix circuit, and was it a matter of being faster than everyone else, or was it staying out of trouble? Walk us through your race. How did you end up on the top step?
No, I love Canada. It's my favourite track, always has been. I always set a good time trial around here. But I've got to give credit to my teammate and Rusty Boy as well, because I was on the faster tyres. After the safety car, they both let me through. So credit to them. But then, yeah, once I got into open air, I knew I'd be able to pull the gap because, as I said, I love the track.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to win, especially at your favourite track as well. And it was quite a hectic race. I think everybody was so close together at the time, and there was time penalties coming in. Were you thinking about the time penalties, or were you just trying to drive and hope that you could open up a gap?
Yeah, no, I spent the last 2 hours before the race practicing Canada, trying not to get penalties. I was pretty pissed off with myself after getting 3 seconds. Then I got 6 seconds because I got 2 warnings on the chicane, the first bit, then the second bit. I was in the lead and I thought I had it comfortably. Then I saw Palang didn't have any penalties at the time, so I started getting a move on.
Yeah, I mean, if you can go a whole race around this track without any penalties, you're going to reap the benefits. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But, well, I guess you're not in the championship fight per se, except for really the constructors. But do you have any thoughts? I'm sure I'll be cheering on your teammate. Yeah. But
you know
drivers going in
next week. In Austria, you're about to see Sergio Perez at his finest. Yeah, I'll see what I can do to help Jonathan, obviously, but maybe a bit of Schumacher at the line. We'll see.
Whoa. All right, then. There's some fighting talk from one half of the Ferrari team, but I'm sure it'll be a contest between, you know, the 3 championship winners and their Sergio Perez teammates, all trying to get them the win for this championship. But well done today, Jacob. It was a great win.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully the first of many, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again very soon.
Thank you, lads. Cheers.
We'll hand over to Ghost then to interview the man who came in P3 on the road and is currently P3 in the driver's standings, 3 points behind his rivals. It's Jonathan.
Right, yeah. Well, Jacob was just, Sumo was just talking about if you can go a whole race around here without getting track limits penalties, you'll reap the benefits. And, if you go across the line in, I think, P6, P7, and finish P3 after all is said and done, and that's a critical 2 extra points as well for getting on the podium for you, Jonathan. So talk us through your race.
Yeah, first of all, congrats to Jacob. He obviously, first time winning here, took his time, but, you know, he's here now. And it's nice to be here with him, you know, double podium for Ferrari. And Yeah, the race itself was a bit of a mad one, really. You know, at the start, me and Jacob were up near the top together with Lawrence, and then that double stack put me right down, and that kind of is kind of what really scuppered my chances of a win in the end, really. Obviously, not anyone's fault, it's just the way it happened. And then, yeah, I let Jacob through after that next restart, and then Palang comes down my inside of the final chicane and he puts me in the wall, so I got yellow damage and I had to put up with that for the rest of the race. So that's why you saw me drop to like 7th within the few corners. And then, yeah, after that it was really about managing the penalty situation, because I knew if I could get that, I'd really jump up the order. Because if Jacob will know, I did a practice session there with him and Mahiti beforehand, and my first 10 laps I'm validated. So I wasn't thinking I'd come out of here with no pens. But well, yeah, it's really benefited me today.
Yeah, exactly. You did fantastic to keep it clean, and well, even a 3-second penalty would have put you down to P4, and that's 2 points lost when in a championship this close. Those are very, very critical. So well done for being the only driver to keep it clean with no track limits penalties.
Thank you.
But the other thing, championship, of course, we've got to talk about, because by my calculation, before stewards, we've got Tier and Crozer both on 110 points, and you on 107 going into the final round. So all to play for into Austria, and of course Austria is going to be a mad race. So how are you feeling about your chances?
I mean, I'd like to say I have a chance. Austria's a track where anyone can do anything, really. Just DRS trains from start to finish. People getting penalties, a bit like Canada. So it's one of those where if you don't get penalties, you'll also move up. So it'll kind of be the same next week. Try and stay out of trouble, stay away from penalties, and just hope I can stay ahead of the two. But they've been great racing this season, both of them. I'm sure you both saw it on the stream. We had a nice little battle for a good few laps there. And yeah, it's been a good season overall. I'm happy to be where I am, and hopefully I can take it home next week.
Well, yes, and I can also say the constructors, after that double podium, you're not that far behind. I think Red Bull, I think are on 178, and you guys are on 161, I think. So I think you'd need a bit of luck next week, but that's probably going to be in the back of your mind as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice to win the constructors, even if I don't get the drivers' championship. We can go home with the constructors' championship. That'd be good.
We're coming for that 1-2 in Austria.
Schumacher, Barrichello at the end there.
Well, I'm sure the others, Crozer and Tier, will be doing plenty of practice as well as JB and Robsu as well. I'm sure they'll be up there next week. So it should be a fantastic 6-driver battle. That's what we're hoping for both championships. So well done today.
Lucy boy win.
yeah, well, it all happens and Ruffy Boy goes through and wins. No, but well done today to you, Jonathan. Another podium on the board, and I'm sure you'll be hoping to take it through to Austria and win the title. So, congrats, and I think regardless of who finishes on the podium next week, we'll probably get all of the top 3 in to talk to them. Because I mean, what a season it's been. So, see you then.
Yeah, thanks, and thank you for the comms.
No problem. I'll hand back over to Sumo.
Wow, APPF1 Tier 2 better than real life Formula 1? I think so. But anyway, the real podium to be looking out for would be Rutty Boy, Muhiti, and LB, wouldn't it? In whatever order it comes. But wow, what a show we have for you next week. It's the final round, Austria, 3 drivers within 3 points of each other. as well as a constructors battle to be solved as well. This could, I think, will it go down as the closest? I'm not sure, but it's certainly up there, Ghost. Is there any final thoughts after this epic evening of racing?
I think it's definitely going to go down as the closest going into the final race ever. 3 drivers win 3 points, and if Jonathan seems adamant that Palang will get a penalty, and if he does, Jonathan will finish P2, and that would mean all 3 would be within 1 point going into the final race. So we'll see what happens after stewards, but I think definitely the closest going into the final race. But knowing Austria and knowing now that we've got 6 drivers all fighting for both championships on the grid, I think something's bound to happen. We're going to have some drama for sure.
Oh yeah, there is going to be some drama, and well, Scott Marshall's just said he beat Vardy by a point in sprints way back when, so could go down with one of the closest winning margins in APPF1 history. But that is a story that will be told next week. Join us once again at the same time on the 19th of September to close off Tier 2 of Season 8 here in APPF1. I'm pretty sure I got all that the wrong way around, but I don't care. I'll call it what I want. I've been here for long enough. Anyway, but for now, I have been Sumo.
I have been Ghost.
And we will join you at the same time next week for the conclusion of what has been a very epic season. Good night.